Abhi, can you try from your side in SS, if you have the SQL Server engine, can you try it today that in SQL Server, if you, I will show you now. So let me show you. I want you to try the same thing and see whether it is working in your computer or not. So in my old laptop, this is had no issue, but this is my new computer. Some issue is coming while I'm using the user-based transfer, user-based applications. Now I will show you how to do that. Now let me connect to it. So I connected to the database engine, and after that I can connect to the analysis services engine. Okay. So I have executed the started my analysis server services file. Okay. Now once you connect to the analysis services file, no, what we have to do is connect. So in order to go for usage based applications, so whatever the customers they are doing the slicing and dicing, no? So in the back end, whenever they do the slice and dice, like let us see that whenever they do the slice and dice, okay, a query will be, we have to store that query in one of the services. Okay, so let me show you. This is your analysis services. Now go to the analysis services, go to the properties file. Okay. Now go to the general section. Okay, now you can see that we have four properties. So we have the query log table. So first of all, we have to we have an option called log query log create query log table. Yes, we have to make this as true. Okay, and query log connection string means in which server we want to store these queries. Okay, we have to specify the OLTP server name. So that is, I have to save it in one of the SQL databases. Okay, so let us say that if you are saying it as DB Rajesh, okay, in that let me say DB Anish. Okay, in this database, it will have to create a table. Okay, it has to create a table. Okay, and query log sampling. Query log sampling, it should be equal to 1. 1 means it should store each and every query executed. If I put it as 10 means earlier it was 10. So if I put it as 10 means every out of 10 queries, every one query will get stored. Okay. So if you want to store each and every query, then we have to make it as 1. If you don't want to store, then we have to make it as 0. Okay. So we have 0, 1, any number you can put. But if you put like 10 means out of 10 queries, only one query will get stored. Okay. Like that. And now you can see that we have one query log table name, that is OLAP query log. So OLAP query log, this is the table name I want to create. Okay, to store my MDX queries. Okay, how many times that query has used, like that. Okay, but when I'm doing this in my computer, I'm facing some issue. But this is the same settings. I checked in the Google also. So there is no change in the settings. And maybe I'm assuming that after creating the database, I have changed my computer name. So maybe because of that, it is not recognizing my server. So that's what I'm thinking. So Abhi, can you please try it from your side? So once you do that, no, if I go to the DB Anish and click on new query, so the table should create. Okay, so query log table is there, no? So here we have one specified the table name, no? With this table name, okay, with this name, OLAP query log, a table should be created in the whatever the database we have specified, that is DBNH. So, if you try this one in your computer, if the table is created, just inform me. So I will explain in your computer only. I will explain this user-based aggregations. Okay, OLAP query log. So with this name, a table should be created, but in my computer, I am not able to create the table in order to explain this user-based aggregations. So Abhi, if you try it today and inform me tomorrow, so are you able to create this table? Then I will explain you in your computer itself. Okay. So that is about user-based aggregations. Okay. Once you create the table, I will continue with that. Okay. This is it. So can you please tell me to by tomorrow, Abhi? Try to create it by today. Okay.
Okay.
So just do it how I have done it. Means go to the first of all go to this. Okay, and go to the properties of the analysis services and go to the general section and do all these changes and see whether a table is created in the so and so database or not. If the table is created, just inform me. I will explain you how to do that. Okay. I think process is succeeded. Okay. So that is how we can do the aggregations here. So usage based aggregations. Okay, once you select it, after creating the table, you have to select it, go to next. And here you have to specify, okay, invalid object name OLAP query log means in this I don't have the database, so that's why it is giving us error. Okay, if you have the data table, then I can connect to this beginning date and ending date. Okay. Now, once you create the table, I will come and explain about this. Now let us go to the next topic. So we have completed partitions and aggregations, perspectives, and how to create the roles. Now let us come for calculations. Now what is this calculation means? We can write a separate calculation formulas. We can derive the formulas. We can write a formulas in this calculation section. Okay. Suppose if you apart from your existing dimensions and measure groups fields, that is measure group columns, if you want to derive a new calculated column, then you can go for this calculation tab. Okay. So let us say that new calculated member. Now if you want to add a new calculation, then click on this new calculated member, that is calculator icon. Okay. Now you can see that we are getting some name. Okay. Now let me give some valid name or any name you can give, and let us say that suppose if I want to apply a formula like sales amount minus tax amount, then you can go for sales after what we call it, that is original sale amount. Okay, without tax amount. Okay, let us say that original sale. So we have to create one calculator. You can give any name and you can put it inside the square brackets if you have a space between them. If you have a space between them, then you have to put it inside a square brackets to make it as a single word. Okay. And we have one hierarchies means, so we can select the parent hierarchy means we have the measure group, that is fact tables, and we have the dimension tables. Okay. So for which we want to apply the formula on the fact table, okay, on the facts or on the dimension table attributes. Okay, so usually we will apply the formula for the measure group tables, okay, but not for the dimensions. Why? Because it does not contain any amount fields, no? Okay, so, or if you have a dim product and if you want to concatenate the first name, last name, and end middle name, then you can apply this. If you are if you are applying the, if you want to apply the concatenation formula, then you can select parent hierarchy as dim product. Okay, if you select parent hierarchy as dim product, okay, so on that dim product we have the attributes like first name, last name, middle name. We can concatenate. Okay, or usually we will apply the formulas on the measure group tables. Okay, now you can see that you can have the product name, or if you have any dim customer table in which I will have that uh, first name, last name. Okay, and usually we will apply the formulas for the fact table methods. Okay, now you can see that we have the methods, and under this measures, we have one sales measure in which I have the sales amount. Okay, but I don't have the tax amount. Let me introduce the tax amount. So I have introduced the tax amount here. Now let me go for and refresh it. So I want to apply some formula on the sales amount and tax amount. Okay, I want to reduce the tax amount from the sales amount to get my original sales. Okay, after deducting the tax amount, I want to see the original amount sales. So let me process. Let me add the tax amount first. The process is succeeded. Okay, now after adding the process tax amount, I will go to aggregations tab and I will connect. Sorry, I will go to the calculation tab. Let me reconnect. Okay. Now let me click on new calculator member. Now let me give some name to your calculation. That is original sales amount. Okay. Let me write a calculation for the measurable columns. Now I want to see that sales amount, okay, minus, okay, minus tax amount. Sales amount minus tax amount, like this you can write it. Okay. Or if you want to go for sales amount divided by measure amount, or if you want to go for any form, not only this simple formulas, if you want to apply any complex formula as per your requirement, you can go and write this formulas here. Okay, how you are writing in the SQL server, the same method you can use it here. Okay, and now let us go for see the additional properties here. Format string. So you can see here format string means if you want to go for standard means it will give the sale amount minus tax amount. Suppose if you want to, if you select currency, it will append the dollar amount, it will append the dollar sign to your amount. Or if you want to append the percentage symbol, then it will go and apply the percent means minus, after getting this value it will divide it by 100, and after dividing the 100 it will append, it will show the percent symbol also. Okay. Or if you want to, if it is a date field, okay, if you want to apply, if you want to show it in the short date, long date, means changing some display value, okay, applying some format to the output value, then you can select this format string, how you want to display your number. Okay. Now let me select the standard option. And you want to visibility? Yes, I want to show it, then make it as true. If you don't want to show it, okay, then you can make it as false. Now we have non-empty behavior. Non-empty behavior is, so this is important. Why? Because suppose let us assume that you are applying the sales amount divided by tax amount. Okay. So if you are applying the formula like this, then if the tax amount is zero, if the tax amount is zero, let us say the sales amount is 100. Okay, the sales amount is 100 and tax amount is 0. Then what will happen? So it will give a invalid number, or it will be continuously executing. Okay, so it will be continuously executing, or it won't, it will give some null value. Okay, whatever the some negative numbers I, okay, or it will be continuously executing. Okay. Now in this case it will encounter an error. Sometimes it will be encounter a error divided by 0 is not available. So in order to avoid those divisions, so if the tax amount is 0, I don't want to execute the division part. Okay, that is called non-empty behavior. Means when this is non-empty, when the tax amount is not 0, then only go on execute the form. Okay, if it is tax amount is non-empty, means if it is other than 0, then go and execute this form. If it is 0, then you no need to execute this form. Okay, so that's what I will tell you. Now you can see non-empty behavior if tax amount is 0. Okay, if tax amount is 0, don't execute this form. Okay? That is the meaning of non-empty behavior. Okay, so which will be helpful when we are doing the divisions. And if it is a minus, then you no need to select also, no problem. Why? Because 100 minus 0, it will be 100 only. It won't show the divided by 0 and divide 0 problem. Okay. So when you have divided by 0, divided by tax amount, then you can go and select here it as tax amount as non-empty behavior. So whenever tax amount is 0, it won't apply this formula. And we have one more option called associated measure group. Associated measure group is, so where you want to put this formula, where you want to show this formula. So do you want to show, now you can see what are the list of measures is there, it is showing here, and you want to show this formula under the sales measure group. Now we can put it. So we have four measures now: product sales, book author, book sales. If you want to put that formula inside the sales measure group, then you can select it. Okay, do you want to display a separate folder, do you want to put this formula under the separate folder, then you can go and select the table folder. Now let us say, let us give some folder name as, okay, CALC. Okay, calculated member. If you want, you can put it as calculated member. So under the sales, if you go and create a folder. Okay, now we have one more: color expressions and font expressions. Color expressions and font expressions. So now you can see that if you want to give some color, okay, if you want to give some color to your calculated output, then you can go and give the color. Okay, now let us say that if this value, okay, if this calculated output, okay, if calculated output value is, if this calculated output value is greater than, let us say, something like 1000 or 1 lakh, okay, or 1 lakh, then you can go and see that you can use some color expression. Now you can see we have some color format. Now if the value is 100, you want to give in a green color, then you can go and select a green color. Okay, else if it is value is less than 1 lakh, if you want to give it in a red color, then you can go and give it the select the red color output. Okay, that's it. Okay, so color expression, that is the four color. Okay, and we have one more called font color. The font color also you can specify this. Now if let us say that if this calculated output, okay, if this calculated output value, if this calculated output value, okay, font name, font expressions is the color and font name. Okay. Now if this value, if so the like this you are writing the expressions in SSRS, no? Like this we have to write it here. If this value is greater than 1 lakh, okay, okay, then display the color in font name and background for color. Okay. So if you want to display it in some color expressions, let me write it the same way. Let me write it only. Okay. So if this 1 lakh, okay, if you go for write it in green color, okay, comma, if you have red color, okay, write it like this. Okay. I don't want to write any font expressions. If you want to derive any expression color, then you can give it for the terms. Okay. Now let me go for yeah. Now let me go for and save this. Okay, and let me process now. So we have added one calculated formula, that is sales amount minus tax amount. We have given some name and we have selected what is the parent group, on which group I want to apply this formula. Okay. And I have selected the display format, that is as standard. Okay, we have the currency and percentage value. Do you want to visible this? Yes, I want to visible this. And most important thing is non-empty behavior. Okay, when the tax amount is 0, don't execute this formula for that particular record. Okay, and do you want to associate measure groups where you want to create under the sales group, and do you want to display it in a separate folder? Yes, that is calculated number. Okay, and do you want to give some color expressions based upon the value? Yes, I want to give the color expressions. Here I have written a if else statement like how we are writing in our SSRS reports. Okay, like this. Now let me go and process your cube database. So if even though if you do some small change, we have to process it. Okay. Now let us see how this calculated member will be shown in the cube output. Okay. First of all, we have to process our cube. So the cube processing is done. Now let me go to the browser of the cube and let me reconnect. So after processing, we have to reconnect to make them to see the changes. Let me reconnect or refresh. Okay. Now you can see that under the measure groups, under the sales, you can see we have a calculated number is created. We have the calculated number is created. Now you can see we have one original sales amount calculated formula is there. Original sales amount calculated formula is there. Now we can see, let us say that sales amount, okay, minus tax amount. So you can see here it is showing some. So this is your sales amount and this is your tax amount. No, so this minus this will be showing the calculated amount. I can see after 46,000, after removing this some 3 lakhs, it is showing something like 43. Let us say assume that it is 46 lakhs minus 3 lakhs, it is showing the 43 lakhs like that. And suppose if I want to see the product by sales or color by sales, now let me drag and drop the color by sales. Now you can see for every record it is applying the calculated formula separately. Whatever the formula you are applying, it is applying separately here. And similarly, suppose let us say if you want to see the year by sales, now order date, now calendar year, now you can see for each year the sales is shown. For each year the sales is showing. Now let me analyze it in the Excel sheet. Now let me go for, or we have an option here. So in which analyze in Excel option. So either you can select this one also. Okay. Now let me open the Excel sheet. Now let us click on this option, analyze in Excel. So which cube, that is I want to analyze this cube. We have a perspective, no? That's what it is showing here. Let me open it. Enable. Now let me go for, so we have under the sales group, we have one calculated member folder. Under this we have the original sales amount. Okay. Now let me drag and drop. So let me go for sales. Let me select the sales amount and tax amount. Okay, and let me apply the calculated formula here. Okay, like this. And now let me go for category name. If you want to see the category wise differences, now you can see it is showing the category wise differences also. Okay, category wise sales amount minus tax amount. This is the actual sales, and after removing the sales amount, this is the original sales. That formula will be applied on each and every combination you are selecting. That formula will be applied on each and every combination you are selecting. Okay, like this. So we have created a formula at the in a calculations tab. Okay, in a calculations tab. Now let us say, can I create the formula in the data source view level also? If I go to the data source view level, so now you can see we have the sales measure, and let me see if we right click on it. Now we have one more option called new named calculation. Let me create a formula here. Now let us say that here, let us say view or data source view level calculation. So I'm giving some name to my, that is data source view level calculation of sales. Okay. Now here let me write a formula like, so in this table we have the factored net sales table. We have one sales amount column. We have one. So in this table we have one sales amount column minus tax amount. Now let me write a same formula. DSV calculation sales. Now let me write a sales amount minus tax amount. Okay. I'm writing the same formula in the data source view level. Now let me click on it. Now you can see here also I was able to apply that formula in the data source view level. Now let me process it. Now let me process the entire solution. Okay. Now we have two options. Either we can create the formula in the on the table itself, okay, in the data source view, or we can create the formula in the calculation tab of cube. At cube level also we can create, or at the data source level also we can create. Okay, now let us see. Now I am building the entire solution. Okay, our process is succeeded. Close, close, and now you can go and see. Let me connect to the cube and let me reconnect. Okay, go to the browser. Let me click on reconnect. Okay, now you can see that under the measure group. Okay, so we have one calculated member. Now let me go to the cube structure and let me add this calculated column. Let me click on new measure and we have a DSV calculation sales. Let me add that measure, add that column to the measure group. Now let me go to the dimension and browse it. So sorry, process it. Why? Because we have added one calculated column. No? Some change we have done now. That's why I want to process it one more time. Now we have two formulas. So in the browser, in the cube browser, we will have two formulas. The formula created by using the calculated section and a formula created in the view level. Okay. If I go to the browser, now you can see that under the, let me click on reconnect. Now you can see we will have two formulas under the sales. We have one DSV calculated sales. Now we have one more calculated number which was created using the section. Now you can see both are showing me the same value. Now if I introduce sales amount minus tax amount, so you can see that DSV calculation sales and original sales amount, this calculated number value, both are showing me the same number. Okay. Now if I drag and drop the any color, now you can see both are showing me the same numbers. Okay, now you can see DSV calculation sales. It is the created in the view level, and this is the calculated created using the calculation section tab of our view. So both are giving me the same. Then what is the difference? This is the one of the important interview questions. If you are able to create a calculated formula at the view level itself, okay, then why they have provided a separate section here? Okay. What is the difference between a creating the formula here when compared with the creating the formula at the view level? What is the difference is, so When you created a calculation in the data source view level, so when it will be the output will be generated is when it is doing the processing. Okay, when it is doing the processing, at that time only your calculated formula will be generated. Okay, so if we have 1 lakh records, that calculated formula, so in this data source view, so if the sales table contains 1 lakh records, this calculation has to be applied on those 1 lakh records. Okay, this calculated formula should be applied on those calculated formula, okay, on those 1 lakh records at when it is processing the cube database. Processing means when it is fetching the data from SQL to cube database. Okay, so if you create a formula here, maybe your processing time may be slow. Your processing time, okay, we will process when you are the process of cube will take time. Okay, so if I go to the cube, so when you are created a formula, okay, when you create a formula in the data source view itself, so you have the SQL database and using the SSAS solution, you are creating a cube database. No? So when you click on process, what will happen? This is SQL, okay, this is cube database, okay, this is the SSAS solution. When we click on processing, what will happen? So it will go and fetch the data from SQL database, okay, and it has to apply to the cube database. It has to put it to the cube database, and this SSAS solution, you are creating the calculation. So this calculation has to be applied on each and every record of this SQL data. So the processing time may be slow. If you create a formula at the data source view level, the processing time may be slow. Okay, and if you create a formula at the calculation section separately in the calculation section, okay, when this formula has to be generated, so whenever you are dragging and dropping, at that time the formula has to be executed. Okay, at that time the formula has to be executed. Then your query time will be maybe slow. So if you create a calculated formula in the calculation section, so it won't execute at processing time. When it will get executed, when you are dragging and dropping, no, at that time it will get executed. Okay. So when you are dragging and dropping, at that time it has to execute that formula logic. Okay. So when you create under the calculation section, okay, maybe the processing time may be fast, but query time may be less. Okay. But when you create a data source view level, the processing time may be slow, but the query time will be very fast. So why? Because this is already generated value. Okay, this formula is already evaluated at the time of processing. Okay, so when you drag and drop this DSP calculation size, your query time may be fast. Okay, your query time will be fast, but processing time will be slow. Okay, understood the difference? And one more difference is in the data source view level, we cannot create complex formulas. If you are creating a calculated formula here, so using this option, if you create a calculated formula here, so if you want to write a let us say if you want to write some calculate complex formula, or if you want to apply some formatting like a percentile, okay, standard format, percentile format, okay, and if you want to create a separate folder, those options won't be here. No, just you have to create a formula, and you have to create a simple formula here. Okay, but if you want to create a complex formula, okay, if you want to create a complex formula, okay, here we have an option. Software we have an options to drag and drop whatever the field you want. You can drag and drop, and you can write the form. And we have a separate additional properties to if you want to apply the format, All those things we can apply here. Okay? That is the two differences between the creating the formula at the cube level and creating the formula at the data source view level. Understood? Okay. So understood, Abhi?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are left with the KPIs and actions. Okay. So we'll try to take tomorrow these two. I will try to finish this KPIs and actions in tomorrow class. And we after that we'll go for some processing options. Finally, we'll go for some processing options. So after that KPI and actions, maybe in a Saturday class, I will take these processing options. So when you apply for processing now, so when you try to process, we have some processing options like process full. You can see we have one process options. Okay. So under this we have some options here. So we have different options at solution level and at cube level like those. So if you try to process a cube, you can see when you try to process a cube, might have different processing options here. So one class we will discuss about what are these different options and what is the use of them. So we may require two more classes to finish off these KPIs and actions and processing options. Okay. So by tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we complete the SSAS class. Okay. Can I stop now, Abhi?
Yeah, yes, yes, Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Kaushik. And Smaranika, can you please give me 2 minutes time? I will connect again.